what's really important is if I'm right, then violence should be exploding around the world. And it is. And here's the important factor to really wrap your mind around. I've been the guest presenter at over 100 universities and colleges. And I'm the guest criminal justice presenter. They have their CJ Day, all the criminal justice faculty, alumni, students open up to the surrounding area. First thing I tell them is the entire field of criminal justice is completely, totally flawed. How do we measure crime? Oh, the murder rate, you know? And it's true, dead is dead. Ag assault, where do you draw that line between ag assault and simple assault? Anything other than murder is a judgment call. Make it say whatever you want it to say. But the difference between assault and murder is pretty simple. He's dead, right? But the murder rate is being held down by medical technology. Boom, we get it. Technology saves a life. We prevented a murder. We got one good solid data point. A UMass Harvard study in the early 2000s said between the 1960s and the 1990s, medical technology cut the murder rate to a third or a quarter would otherwise be. That is, if we had 1960s level technology in the 1990s, the murder rate would be 3 to 4 times what it is.
Wow.
And the leaps and bounds of life-saving technology since then is astounding. Tourniquets. Everybody carries a tourniquet. Every cop, EMS, civilians like me carry tourniquets everywhere. So I have 500 cops on it. How many of y'all carry tourniquets? Every hand goes up. How many carried tourniquets 10 years ago? Nobody. So if a cop slaps on a tourniquet and saves a crime victim's life, he's prevented a murder. Now, we cut the loss of life on the battlefield to a fraction would otherwise be with tourniquets. The number one preventable loss of life on the battlefield is bleeding out from extremities. The tool to prevent that is tourniquets. Boom. So one medical expert says tourniquets alone have cut the murder rate in half in just the last decade. And you got to think about the math on this. Across our vast nation of 1/3 of a billion people, if just 20 to 30 people a day slap on a tourniquet and save a crime victim's life, we cut the murder rate in half. Well, I train in one of our largest cities in one of the world's largest fire EMS departments. They tell me, I guarantee you, 20 to 30 times a day in our city alone, we slap on a tourniquet and save a crime victim's life. So do you begin to wrap your mind around it? The situation is much, much worse than it looks. Medical technology has hold down the murder rate. The people responsible for giving us the truth are intentionally misrepresenting the situation. Boom, we get it instantly. Why? Well, the video game industry doesn't want people to know that crime has exploded because it points a finger back at them. And of course, other people, when politically, I'm the tough on crime politician. Well, we don't want those guys in power. Those are the ones we don't want in power. So we're going to hide the fact that crime is up. Now, with all that said, in 2020, we had the most horrendous explosion of homicides in America we have ever seen. And in the 1960s, 1 year, homicides went up 12.5%. In 2020, homicides were up 37% across America. Now, this is an early assessment based on 57 large and medium-sized cities. That every year they've nailed it. We get this early sample that nails what the national sample is going to be within a few percentage points. It's nailed it. 2020 was 3 times worse than any year we've ever seen before.